live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show.
Welcome to the FTN Bets Cast for Monday, June 27th here at FTN Bets, sponsored by our good friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players, and now you can win on Sleeper by playing in their new over-under game. It's super easy to play. So first, in any sport, you're going to choose two or more players that you like and pick whether they're going to go over or under their listed total. So for example, the number of hits somebody might get in a baseball game today, the number of strikeouts a pitcher may have, maybe the number of runs somebody would score over or under. Then you're going to choose an amount of money that you want to enter into the contest. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times your money all the way up to 20 times your money if you go 5 out of 5 and get them all correct. But the main reason why I'm excited about this over-under game on Sleeper, it is the only app where I could join with my buddies and we can all play together. It has a built-in group chat where I could see what you're playing, you could see what I'm playing. We could all see what the guy who won 3 days in a row in our group is playing. And then we could all ride it out together. And it's insanely fun when everybody in the group chat is rooting for the same things to happen. So stop what you're doing and download Sleeper now to play in the new over-under game. Have some fun with your friends and make a little bit of money in the process. On your mobile phone, you can join our listener group by going to sleeper.com/FTNbets, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. So again, go to the description in this podcast, sleeper.com/FTNbets, click that link, and you'll get the $100 match on your first deposit as well. There are terms and conditions that apply, so see Sleeper's terms of use for details. Today, we're going to do a little bit of MLB action here as the Sleeper MLB game is back and in full swing. So like I said, what you guys are going to be looking to do here today is there's going to be listed totals for all these games, lots of players in these games. You know, again, for pitchers, it's things like earned runs and hits allowed and strikeouts, over-unders. For some of the hitters, it's going to be things like, you know, whether or not they hit a single, the total bases that they get, if they get an RBI, number of runs that they're going to score. And you can pick the over or under on those totals as well. So again, what we're trying to do here is if you want to pick some unders, you're probably looking for some of the good pitchers or some guys that got bad matchups in the lefty-lefty split or something like that. And just the opposite. If you're looking to play some of the overs, you're going to be looking for the guys that have the right splits matchup. We're going to be looking to pick on the bad pitchers and avoid the good pitchers there. And then even with the pitchers, you know, if you have a guy who is going up against a bad lineup, well, you know, under on the earned runs or, you know, a lineup that strikes out a lot, maybe we want to do the over on some of those strikeouts there. So there's a lot of different ways that we can play it. What I like to do is take a look at the sports books because the sports books are the most efficient markets pretty much. And what you want to do is, you know, we don't want to be playing a whole bunch of stuff that's even money or minus 110, because at even money, it's a 50-50 chance if something's going to go over or under. At minus 110, it's like a 52% chance. We want to find things that are either over or under at, I don't know, like minus 130, minus 140. At minus 130, minus 140, you're looking at things that are in like a 57 to 60% likelihood of happening. And that's what we want. We want the things that are more likely than not to happen. Because again, we got to link a few of them together. So it's not an easy thing to do. It sounds really easy to win at this game, but it is not an easy thing to do for us when we have, you know, multiple different things that we're trying to make happen here. So what you want to do is take the things that really are that likely to happen, the things that are 56, 57, 60% likely to happen versus a whole bunch of stuff that's 50% likely or even below 50% on some of these things that are plus money. You want to avoid all the plus money stuff when you're looking over on Sleeper. The plus money stuff is a lot better when we're looking at the sports books, trying to pick out 1 or 2 things that we could do today and get better than even money payouts on stuff that we think could happen. On the Sleeper game, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or be too cute with it. We want the things that are most likely to happen, and we want to put a few of them together and get a big payout for it. So that's the way we're going to be looking at things today. So let's take a look at all these games today. We can go through it game by game here. We'll take a look at the spreads. We'll take a look at all that stuff. And then, you know what? We'll go and we'll find some of the better plays that we can look at here. So the first game we're going to talk about is going to be the Oakland Athletics against the New York Yankees. Jordan Montgomery on the mound taking on Paul Blackburn. Let's see. The Yankees are a big favorite in this game. Minus 295 on DraftKings is the best price you can play the Yankees at. Everywhere else, they're minus 300 or more. When it comes to sports betting, I mean, I am not going to lay minus 300 on something. At minus 300, you're looking at like a 75% chance likelihood that the Yankees win this game. So, I mean, really, there isn't a lot of value here. If you wanted to play the Oakland A's side, you can get them as high as plus 250. FanDuel, Caesars, Unibet, Sugar House, all have them at that plus 250 number here for today. As far as the individual players go, especially if we're looking over on the Sleeper app, I like Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. That's paying minus 137 on Caesars, which is a 58% implied probability. That is the best price you can get on Judge over 1.5 total bases. It's minus 140, minus 145 on some of the other sites out there. 62% kind of potential return is what the implied probability is saying there. So Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases, definitely one of those things I would be looking at here on the Sleeper app today. The other thing I'd be interested in on Sleeper today is going to be Paul Blackburn over 3.5 strikeouts. Yankees being one of those teams that does strike out a lot. Now, again, Blackburn, not known as a massive strikeout pitcher. That's not really his game. He's more of a ground ball sinker kind of guy that's going to get, trying to induce a lot of weak contact and getting a lot of ground ball outs there. But over 3.5 strikeouts actually has a pretty good implied probability on it, which is why I liked it. Minus 140 on DraftKings is the lowest price that you can play this at. Everywhere else, it's basically like minus 145, plus or minus like 1 or 2 basis points here, like minus 143 to minus 147 in that range, which again is something that's over 60% likelihood to happen based on the implied probability. Those are the kind of things we really want to be betting on here. So Paul Blackburn over 3.5 strikeouts for this A's-Yankees game. Definitely something I think we should be looking at. The next thing we're going to talk about here is going to be the Boston Red Sox taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's see. Connor Seabold, right-handed pitcher, making his debut for Boston today. I think this is his first major league start. It's definitely his first start of this year. I think it's his first major league start in general. He did have 11 starts this year at the AAA level. Listen, the guy's been lights out at AAA. 2.09 ERA, 1.00 WHIP. In about 50 plus innings of pitching this year in 11 starts. So again, I don't think he's going to go super deep into this game. I wouldn't be expecting him to go 7 or 8. You're probably going to get 5 out of Connor Seabold today, but the kid has been pretty good. So I don't want to go nuts on, looking at the Toronto Blue Jays and any of their hitters today. There are a couple guys I'm interested in here, but it's not as great as you would think it is here for the Toronto Blue Jays. And then for Boston, it's not really a good game for Boston hitters either. Kevin Gausman been a pretty good pitcher over the last couple of years after he left Baltimore. He is going to be the pitcher on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays here tonight. As for the player props, though, there are a couple of things I'm interested in. One of them is going to be Kevin Gausman over 5.5 strikeouts here. Minus 147 on Caesars is the best place to play this number. It's minus 150 everywhere else. So you're looking at like a 66% implied probability there. FanDuel even bumped this up from 5.5 strikeouts up to 6.5 strikeouts here today on their prop number. It's at plus money at that 6.5 strikeouts. I don't know if I would chase that here today, but I do like the over 5.5 on the Sleeper app here today. I think that's a very good number that we could take and a very good number that we want to be involved with. There are 2 hitters on Boston 2 hitters on Toronto that I'm looking at here. Bo Bichette is one. I like Bo Bichette for over 0.5 singles here today. Minus 135 on DraftKings, 57.3% implied probability there at minus 135. It's minus 140 on MGM, minus 149 on Caesars. The minus 149 number on Caesars is over a 60% implied probability. So that's definitely something that I would be interested in. For George Springer, I actually like him to go under 1.5 total bases here for George Springer. Could he get a hold of one and hit a home run? Yes. But otherwise, I don't think this is the greatest spot for him. He's minus 140 on DraftKings to go under 1.5 total bases, minus 145 on BetMGM, minus 149 over on Caesars. So again, we're getting this at a really good number there, talking like 58 to 63% implied probability, somewhere in that range. Those are the kind of things that we're looking at here. So under 1.5 total bases with George Springer, another good one to look at over on the Sleeper app today. Next game up, we got the Minnesota Twins taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Sonny Gray on the mound for Minnesota. Tristan McKenzie will be taking the mound for the Cleveland Guardians. Let's see here. I do like Sonny Gray under 1.5 base on balls. Sonny Gray, only 10 walks and 9 starts so far in 2022. The under 1.5 base on balls for him, it's a -140 payout on DraftKings, and that is the best price out there in the market. Everybody else is higher than -140 at, -145, even up to -150 I've seen here today. So like that Sonny Gray play there. The other thing I'm looking at in this game is Franmil Reyes over 0.5 total bases. That's also paying -140 on DraftKings, 58% implied probability, -145 over on BetMGM as well. So, again, the DraftKings -140 is the best price in the market. Other books even have this at a higher rate there, into that 60% range. Next game up, the Miami Marlins taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals -125 favorites at home here. Really good pitching matchup between Adam Wainwright and Pablo Lopez. Do not have any interest in any of the hitters in this game going up against these two pitchers. I actually really like this pitching matchup, and I really like these pitchers. The one thing I would be looking at a little bit here on the sleeper app is going to be Pablo Lopez under 2.5 earned runs, -135 on DraftKings, -140 on BetMGM. That is a 57 to 60% likelihood of happening. Under 2.5 earned runs for Pablo Lopez, the only thing I'm looking at here. Next one up is the Texas Rangers against the Kansas City Royals. Martin Perez on the mound for the Texas Rangers. Chris Bubich on the mound for the Kansas City Royals. I like the under on Chris Bubich strikeouts here. 4.5 is the number. The under is paying -140 on DraftKings and FanDuel, -145 on MGM, as high as -155 on Caesars here today. So that's a 58 to 61% implied probability. Chris Bubich under 4.5 strikeouts here today, something I'd be interested in. The only other thing I was looking at in this game is Marcus Semien to score over 0.5 runs, -135 on DraftKings, -140 on BetMGM. Again, something I would play on sleeper, something I would also be willing to play over at DraftKings at that -135 price. Let's see, where are we at now? Next game up, the Seattle Mariners against the Baltimore Orioles. Seattle favored at home, -149. They have George Kirby on the mound. George Kirby's been very good. 3.12 ERA, 1.12 whip, just shy of a strikeout per inning so far this year. Very solid numbers for him. Going up, and it's actually a pretty good pitching matchup here, Seattle-Baltimore. Tyler Wells pitching for Baltimore has not been bad either. 3.34 ERA, 1.10 whip. He is a guy, though, that does not have a lot of strikeouts, only about 6 strikeouts per 9. And that's why I like the under on 4.5 strikeouts here on Tyler Wells. It's about a 66% implied probability with the numbers that we're seeing out there. This is basically -150 pretty much everywhere out there in the market right now. -150 everywhere but BetMGM, which has it at like -120 something. But everybody else has it at -150. So I like betting this at BetMGM at -120. And I also like taking the under 4.5 strikeouts on the sleeper app, where you're getting this at -150 basically on most of the books out there. So let's see. Next game up, Los Angeles Dodgers, Colorado Rockies. Chad Kuhl on the mound for Colorado. Tyler Anderson versus former team on the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers here. I like Chad Kuhl to give up more than 3.5 runs. -135 DraftKings and Caesars, -140 on BetMGM for that. I don't think Chad Kuhl is a very good pitcher. I think he's going up against a very good Los Angeles Dodgers lineup here today, and I think they're going to hit him around pretty well. One guy, though, who does not actually project all that well here today is Freddie Freeman. Under 1.5 hits for Freddie Freeman, -140 on DraftKings and Caesars today, -155 on Sugar House and Bet River. So you're talking, more than a 60% likelihood here. So that's a pretty big number there that we're seeing for the under 1.5 hits on Freddie Freeman. So I do like that under in this game. One guy I like for the over, though, Justin Turner over 0.5 singles, -135 DK, -140 on BetMGM. Remember, we're trying to stay away from a lot of this -110, -115 stuff, but give me the stuff in that -130, -145 range, the stuff that has a 60%-ish chance of happening. I think that's the way that we can make some money here on the Sleeper app by linking a couple of those things together. We do that over the long haul on all these things that have 60% implied probability. We're going to end up profitable at the end of the day. So I like Justin Turner over 0.5 singles. And that brings us to the last game that we have up here. The Chicago White Sox going up against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Really, I'm not even going to say a really good pitching matchup here. Lucas Giolito has been very good. Noah Syndergaard has been a shell of his former self. I mean, it's not available on any of the sites here today, but here's all you need to know. Noah Syndergaard, guy who was on the New York Mets, watched him pitch a lot out here on the East Coast. This was a guy who used to be a massive strikeout pitcher. Right now, his strikeout numbers have basically dropped from the beginning of the season to now, and every start that he's had, he's down to 4.5 strikeouts is the number. And it's juiced way up on the under to like minus 150 for him to go under 4.5 strikeouts here today. So not a lot of faith remaining out there in the betting markets on a guy like Noah Syndergaard to recapture that glory that he had when he was in, Flushing's Queens playing for the New York Mets here. Let's see. What do we have here? Lucas Giolito is, like I said, pitching is probably the only thing I'm looking at here. Lucas Giolito is a guy who I do have a little bit of interest in. Over 6.5 strikeouts for him is a 60% implied probability. It is as low as minus 135 on BetMGM, and I would play it over at BetMGM at that minus 135 number. You're looking at like minus 140 to minus 150 on all of the other books out there in the market, though. So over 6.5 strikeouts for Lucas Giolito, definitely something that I would be interested in here as well. So that brings us to the time of day when we do our sleeper play of the day here on the FTN Betscast. Remember, go down to the description below. You can see it right down there, sleeper.com/FTN Bets. You click on that link, you join our group chat. On top of joining our group chat, it also makes you eligible for that deposit bonus. And as I tell everybody, if you can afford to put the $100 in to get the max deposit bonus, put the $100 in and get as much free money as you can out of it. So you put $100 out of your pocket, you're going to end up with $200 in your account that you can bet with today. And here's what I would do to take advantage of the biggest edges that we had. The under 4.5 strikeouts in that Texas KC game on Chris Bubich is one of the guys that is one of the plays that I would definitely make sure I have there. Like I said, the worst price you can get on that is minus 140. You can get it as high as minus 154. Not that I want to play it on the sports books, but when we have stuff that's in that minus 145 to minus 155 range, those are the kind of things we definitely want to play on the sleeper app. So that's the first leg of it that I will be looking at here today. The second leg of it that I will be looking at here today, we're going to go all the way back to that second game that we talked about here today with Boston and Toronto. And the other thing is going to be Bo Bichette over 0.5 singles. I like this one a lot. Like I said, minus 135 on DraftKings. I think it's worth a straight up bet on the sports books if you want to play it there. But I also really like the minus 140, minus 149 numbers that are being thrown out there, because that's telling me 60% implied probability or higher. That's what I really like to see. So again, Chris Bubich over on that Kansas City, Texas game for under 4.5 strikeouts. Bo Bichette in that Boston-Toronto game, over 0.5 singles. You put the full $200 on that today. You hit both legs of it. You're going to get a $600 return, $100 out of pocket to give you a $600 bankroll to play with over on Sleeper. That is a good bet, and that is something I'm going to be looking at. That is going to be our sleeper play of the day. So there you go. That's going to wrap it up here for the FTN Betscast. Remember, the early bird pricing is still in effect for NFL season over at FTN Bets, FTN Daily, and FTN Fantasy. And here's a little trick for you guys out there. Use promo code Benny, and you can save 20% off on top of that as well. So you're going to get the early bird pricing. You're going to get 20% off on top of that early bird pricing. It is going to be the best entry point you can have for the rest of the NFL season to get into FTN and get access to all of the charts, all of the graphs, all of the data, all of the expert analysis, and all of the picks from all of our staff over here on FTN Bets, FTN Daily, or FTN Fantasy, whatever you're looking to get involved in. So with that, this is Benny Ricciardi signing off for today's edition of the FTN Betscast, sponsored by Sleeper. Good luck today, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.